Welcome, one and all, to the MPM Stadium here in the picturesque spa town of Ilkley for a fixture that captures the very essence of English football pyramid. Saturday, the 28th of March 2026, which is a date, of course, etched into the calendar as the 15th anniversary of National Non-League Day. While the international stage saw England taking on Uruguay yesterday in what was a fairly boring 1-1 draw, let's face it, the real heart of the game beats right here in the shadow of the moors. This is football at its most personal and most consequential. Today we have a fascinating collision of two clubs moving in opposite directions, both desperate for 3 points that could define their entire season. For our hosts, Ilkley Town, affectionately known as the Bat Hatters, the current campaign has been one of true test of resolve. It's been a season of administrative turbulence and mid-season reconstruction, but since Jacob Mystery took over in November, it has been a renewed sense of tactical identity and a gritty determination to stay alive in this division. Currently sitting 17th with 40 points, they are skating just above that drop zone. For them, a win isn't just about the table, it's a stability for the town and the future of the club. Opposite them, the visitors from South Yorkshire, Worsbrough Athletic. The Briggers have arrived in high spirits under the experienced hand of Lee Morris. They are an elite standard NCEL Division 1 this year, currently occupying third place and looking to cement a home semi-final in the upcoming playoffs. Keelan Grist, the captain, they have arguably the most dangerous man in the division, striker with 24 goals across all competitions who can turn a match in a heartbeat. But today it is about more than just the scoreline, I should say. We are celebrating the volunteers and the match day magic and the fans who make non-league football a cornerstone of British culture. There's no VAR here, there's no sanitised atmosphere, just the smell of fake grass, the proximity of the dugout and the community rallying behind their colours. The artificial surface here at the MPM is slick, the wind is whistling, the heavens have just opened very briefly, although they seem to have closed up again. The atmosphere is building, and will the Bat Hatters find the magic to secure their safety, or will South Yorkshire Juggernaut continue their march towards promotion? The teams are about to head out. I can see them starting to line up with their individual mascots. And Ilkley versus Worsbrough is about to get underway. Welcome if you are all tuning in. I hope you are in the YouTube chat. By all means, I can see the YouTube chat. It's a bit more interactive than your normal run-of-the-mill broadcast for commentary or the game. Of course, this is audio only. We don't have any cameras here. So that means we can do it fully legally, and it means we can do it slightly on the cheap as well. Hopefully, we'll be able to reach out to more clubs along next season to bring you more audio commentary. Teams haven't quite walked out yet, so I'll give you a rundown of the specific lineups in a minute. I can see them lining up, but we were just waiting for Worsbrough Bridge. Of course, this is the final month of the NCL, the North Counties East League, and Worsbrough Bridge have actually only played 36 games. They've had a couple of matches postponed recently due to abnormal weather conditions and various other things, mainly the weather conditions, which means they actually sit probably 2 or 3 games down compared to their competitors. Going into next month, into April, that means they've got a very jam-packed calendar where they hope to obviously secure that top spot in the promotional playoffs. As the teams are walking out now, let me bring you up to date with who exactly we've got in the starting lineup. We've got about a minute before supposedly we're supposed to start this match, but I think we're probably going to be slightly delayed here, only by a couple of minutes though. In goal, Matthew Keane, ever present, with Prince Atakora, I'm guessing at right back. Helmo Mendes in centre back with Thierry Hendrickson, Lewis Staunton, the number 5. Mark Hoban, number 6. Number 7, Luke Baldwin. Number 8, Callan Parker-Wells. Number 9, Dan Clark-Coates. Number 10, Dan Angular Carvajal. With number 11, Edson Parata. On the bench, we got number 14, Harry Foley. Number 12, Connor Ashworth. Number 15, Charlie Lack. Number 16, Folafek Nkem. With number 17, Matt Tipton. For Worsbrough, number 1 is Owen Evans. Number 2 is Stephen Williams. Number 3, Freddie Russell. Number 4, Usmane Sidebe. Number 5, Connor Glavin. Number 6, Dempsey Smith. Number 7, Keelan Grist, of course, the captain and 6th top goal scorer in the division. Number 8, Isaac Jeffrey. Number 9, Akram Lasalive. Number 10, Jake Squires. And number 11, Josh Brown. Number 12 is on the bench, Janino Blake. And the other bench goers are number 14, Lloyd Smith, Lewis Connor, number 15, number 16, Alfie Eagles, Alfie Eagle, apologies, no plural there, and number 17, Harley Holt. So, as our referees just make sure that they collect the match ball and the other players are lining up, they huddle, more than respecting the ball, I imagine, for Worsbrough Bridge. They're not around the ball, so they've got plenty of respect for that before the game starts. And Ilkley Town are lining up. Mentioned as National League Day, and suppose before we actually get going into the match, a little bit of a background about what exactly that is. Well, of course, there's a bit of a gulf, as every football fan experiences, with the international break is on. It's no one's particular favourite time of the year, and 2010, James Doe started a small social media campaign where they tried to get a bit of excitement and use this sort of dull international break where the Championship teams and the Premiership teams were somewhat quietened for the time being, obviously for these 2 weeks as all their players went off, and gave their fans an opportunity to remember that there is more football than just the top 2 divisions in England, and they should get down, try and support their locals. And actually Ilkley Town, although the heavens, it's a beautiful day here, yet the heavens have opened, it's chucking it down on the top of our little tin roof. But Ilkley Town have actually put a local bus on to whip round the town. I think there was about 3 or 4 spots before eventually ending up here at the home of the Bats Hatters in the shadows of Ilkley Moor. Of course, the rocks up there, the Cow and Calf pub, a fantastic pub, by the way, not sponsoring the stream or anything like that. I just fully recommend that anybody around Ilkley go up there. It's a great place to have a walk. It's a great place to have a Sunday roast. Mark Hoban over the centre spot as the teams have changed direction, so Ilkley Town will be kicking it towards me for the first half, with Worsbrough Bridge attacking a Worsbrough Bridge. I'm probably going to say that wrong over the course of the next couple of minutes. But Ilkley Town are getting us underway, and Prince Atakora receives the ball at right back before it gets spread across the back line. Of course, this is audio commentary. You can't see anything, so I'll be trying descriptive as possible. Speaking of which, there was a little bit of a tumble there by Edson Prater. No foul given, but it's Worsbrough Bridge who now get their foot on the ball. There was an attacking opportunity, but Ilkley Town back in a formation. Worsbrough happy to pass it round the back. Looks like maybe a stable back 5-ish formation for Worsbrough Bridge. Of course, being non-league, there's not much information out there that I can glean. There's not much footage of any of these teams, but Worsbrough do have it. They've pinged it up to the back post, to the back 9. Akram Lasalive is their number 9, attacking that one, but it ended up back into the grateful hands of Matthew Keane. One of the, again, pleasures of commentating on non-league is they don't actually print out the team sheets for you. So, and my laptop is getting rained on, which is really probably not the best thing to be happening right now. So I do apologise if there's a little bit of a break in between things, because I'm going to have to make sure my computer doesn't break. My phone's dropped to the floor. It's going well. Thank you, Nick. Lovely to have you. Right, back to it. Has any goals been scored? No. Prince Atakora, though, attacking the back line. It may well fix favourably. Oh, it's a poor connection, though, for Dan Clark-Coates. He had a goal gaping, realistically, although Worsbrough have just gone at the other end. Number 7 cutting inside for the right wing, and he's skied it well over the bar. It's one end to another here. Ilkley had an opportunity about 6 yards out from goal, but it was a poor contact with the head by Dan Coates, until screaming at the other end off the goalkeeper's kick. It was Keelan Grist, of all people, actually, number 7, who couldn't take advantage. He absolutely sat down Helmer Mendes on the left-hand side, well, right-hand side as I'm looking at it for Worsbrough. Edge of the box. Ball for the centre-back of Ilkley to, well, the other centre-back of Worsbrough, Dempsey Smith, as I try and get used to where exactly everybody is playing. Thierry Hendrickson shepherding the ball. Well, not quite shepherding the ball. He absolutely boots it into the next field. and we lose the first match ball of the day. Something that Ilkley Town is quite used to, given the fact that their MPM Stadium is right next to the river on one of the sides. So every time there's a clearance to the left, or over the dugouts, effectively, it can basically go into the river, which doesn't make for a very easy retrieval. Luckily, that one just went into the car park. So a throw-in on the right-hand side. Worsbrough trying to utilise the long throws, as a lot of teams do in this day and age. Well, this current season, I imagine it'll probably go out of fashion as quickly as it went in. But I do actually quite like the long throw attempts. Nothing happened for it this time, of course. So Luke Baldwin tries to spread it out to the wing. Not the best pass in the world, and it ends up back at Owen Evans' left foot, who tries to ping it. Only can make it as far as Mark Hoban. As there's a little bit of space here from the right wing, and Mendes couldn't quite get his foot on it. He did enough just to give an opportunity for Staunton to get involved, the centre-back. And Ilkley do manage to get it away, but there's an awful lot of space down there. You fear for Ilkley that their left-back position may well be the opportunity for Worsbrough. So Prince Atakora again trying to surge themselves down the right for Ilkley. But good control in the middle. Remember, this is effectively 3rd versus 17th, so you do imagine that Ilkley will try and make a bit of a name for themselves in the first couple of minutes, and then potentially Worsbrough may well, the quality, the cream always rising, will come out on top. That's probably how the bookies would give it. It doesn't always necessarily work that way in football, of course. As the ball gets loaded into that right wing for Worsbrough, it's headed away by Helmo Mendes, but helped back in. There's a shot here from outside the box. It was a scuffed one by Jake Squires, and it was easily cleared, but only as far as the left back, who whips it back in. It goes out for Worsbrough throwing. It's Ilkley have been under the cosh somewhat since the start. 7.5 minutes in, there has been a half-decent chance for Ilkley, of course, but the majority of the play has been pushed in towards their own box. And a long throw yet again put in for the right-hand side. 2 Ilkley Town players going up for it, neither of them getting the best clearance, but they do manage to poke it away now. Connor Glavin launches it back out to the right-hand side. Can they deliver? It's not the best control, and it's going to be an Ilkley ball. Can they make a little bit of a break here? Prater with a touch back to Mendes. And they slow it all the way down, try and get foot on the ball. They've tried to play the ball up to the striker nice and quickly a couple of times, Ilkley, but they haven't managed to make the ball stick yet. This time from the left back, they go up, but again, it's just to the Worsbrough centre-backs, which means they just have to get back into their shape, a shape which has been exposed 1 or 2 times, but Mendes comes in and clears it out. And it's another throw, and you guessed it, the right-hand side of this, right-hand side of the circuit, Mitsubishi Motorsport. Ball gets launched back in and headed back out, and you can just see all the mascots who have done a bit of a lap of the ground. I think there was about 18 of them who've come today. Great showing from the majority under 8 team, I think they were. I saw. As the ball gets put in this time, another strong header by Ilkley, but it's on the volley, put back in, not cleared particularly brilliantly. It's a little bit of pinball. Out to the left-hand side of the box. Back to the goal, though, and Prince Atakora can manage to make the tackle. It's going to be a Worsbrough throw-in this time from the left. Plenty of these sort of set-piece, not set-pieces, you could argue, in these opening minutes. Without there being too much for Matthew Keane to have to worry about. So from the left-hand side this time. Oh, much better throw, I have to say, actually. And it's a good opportunity. Flicked on and into the hands of Matthew Keane. Not entirely sure who actually flicked it on. Can't see from the other side of the pitch, which is where the majority of the game has been played at this point. But Caelan Parker-Wells spreads it out to Mendes. He's trying to find Prater, but he's not close. He's not quick enough to get that ball. Not a good clearance by the goalkeeper. Mark Hoban picks it up. The captain trying to find a pass and trying to encourage the attackers, Dan Carvajal, to attack for the right-hand side. He's got it on the left wing here, and he the poor ball in. Didn't even clear past the first man, and Worsbrough can try and spring an attack here. Lasolive is attacking into the area, tries to cut it back across. There's an opportunity. It's off the crossbar. The header had Matthew Keane stood still, going the wrong direction. Off the crossbar though, and he manages to pounce on it. A little bit of a let off there for Ilkley after what was one of their slightly stronger passages of play. Speaking of which, Luke Baldwin's on the right wing now, surging into three defenders. He's got past one, he's got past two. He unleashed the shot. Would have been a wonder goal, but Owen Evans with the save to his right-hand side. Vartigal get his foot on it, and Parker-Wells now with the... Oh, you have to concede the throw-in, actually, but what a run there by Luke Baldwin. I thought he was running down a bit of a dead alley, but actually he managed to get past number 3, 4, and 5, Freddie Russell, Asmane Sidibé, and Conor Glavin, as he surged into the box. A bit of a shame that the shot was just a little bit of a nice height for the goalkeeper. Wasn't quite in the corner. It's still a bit of an encouragement for Ilkley. So as Ilkley get their foot back on the ball, it's around the back line. Prince Atakora trying to find the pass in, and he does manage to make it stick actually into Dan Coates. Lays it off to Mark Hoban, but it wasn't the best pass to him, so he's had to go back to the centre-backs. Tries a little ambitious flick there, does Carvajal. And a good ball over, but no, actually, the referee was blocking my view there. It was well headed away by the centre-back of Ilkley Town. So surging towards the back line was Josh Brown with the ball, but Atakora yet again dispossessing. He's got a couple of players. He finds a pass in behind. It's a bit of a foot race, one that the centre-back is going to win. And Owen Evans can clear it only as far as the halfway line. Parker-Wells tries to bring it down with the chest, but didn't really find anybody, or at least the first touch didn't find anybody. Mark Hoban managed to get it in the end, and Mendes can find Coates, who cuts in with the right foot, was looking to try and feed in to Luke Baldwin. And the centre-back clears it away now. Worsbrough on the break. Could they unlock? Ilkley Town, they've been a little bit poor on the transition from what I've seen defensively. Ilkley Town, they've always been a bit, always been the weakest whenever they've gone forward. And Prince Atakora here has gone down. The referee's stopped the game, and I think he's just looking for a little bit of attention. Not in a needy way, I just realised that makes him sound like a 5-year-old. Attention for the medical staff rather than all of our sympathies. He is back on his feet now. The referee's going to drop the ball, and I imagine Mark Hoban will be instructed to kick it back to Worsbrough. No, doesn't bother with that. Just goes straight to Dan Carvajal, who tries to get through. In the end, it does go back to Worsbrough's midfield. So into the back line, Lewis Staunton tries to find the ball over to Carvajal. Wasn't being for this time. Again, it is a bit back and forth there without lacking a bit of quality. That's a Grist is through. I think it was a good save. I couldn't quite see it because I was actually looking down at my note to see who it actually was. But Grist, who of course is a strong player, the biggest output for Worsbrough this season. 6th top goal scorer in the league. 24 goals in all competitions as far as I can tell. The NCEL website is quite good for the stats and stuff like that, but only if the teams actually update them through the season. There's a free kick here being taken by Freddie Russell on the left-hand side. Not really that close to the box, but there's an opportunity to put it in. A bit of a poor ball, and Ilkley can break here as they try and find a pass to the centre, but it wasn't being. Stephen Williams can get his foot on the ball, and a good spin by Grist. Worsbrough putting the ball into the area, but again, it's a good clearance by Ilkley. Towner comes back out. It's a nice shot, but it is pretty much straight at Matthew Keane from the edge of the area. First time shot, always difficult to catch it. I think it was by Grist again. You can tell how he's got so many goals. He's always involved at the sharp end. Barter switches it. Atakora looking for the ball, but he's been marked a little bit too tightly. Actually, the centre-back's ball goes all the way through to Coates. He couldn't get it under his control without handballing it, so Grist has now been unleashed on the right-hand side. Running at Mendes, he's got the right side, or wrong side of it for Mendes' perspective. Allows the ball to go back through, but Hoban is there to mop up and find Parker Wells. And I think it's past to Prater. Actually ends up just running straight for him. Tries the outside of the foot past to Coates. He doesn't seem to have the pace on his two centre-backs, but it's a poor control from Worsbrough's centre-backs. Coates ends up just pinging it straight into the grateful feet of Sidibe, who looks over the top to try and find Akram, who's on the left-hand side now. Cuts back inside. Nice little ball in. But again, doesn't really clear the front post. And the referee gives a foul for Luke Baldwin getting bowled over. So, centre back for Glasper, which is, of course, Conor Glavin, looking for the keeper to come and get the ball as it was pinged over the top, but in the end had to deal with it himself. Straight back at the other. It's a little bit Route 1 football, to be honest, from Glasper, my apologies, Worsbrough. Again, Coates doesn't seem to have the pace on either of his centre backs. Every time it keep getting put over the top, either Dempsey Smith or Conor Glavin managed to make his way through it. I'm just editing my notes slightly if you're wondering why I've gone quiet. Akram Lassalia. I was saying Lassaliv before. Apologies if I got that wrong. A bit scrappy on the right-hand side from Ilkley's perspective. It goes all the way back to Matthew Keane after having no real advantage. Up to Carvajal, tries to flick it on to Coates. And again, Glavin manages to mop up, but he can only give it to Mendes, who's now surging on the left-hand side. Coates has been left all alone in the middle. There was no ball coming into him. I have to say, I do think that there actually is more people here at Ilkley Town at the MPM Stadium today than normal. It's always nice. Got about average attendance of around 70 to 80 this season. I think the max they've had is about 150. Wouldn't say we're at 150, but we are definitely at more people here today, which is always nice. So Parker Wells at the heartbeat of Ilkley's midfield, trying to orchestrate a bit of tempo. They ping it back over the top. It seems to be their favoured method of getting forward. Here, Carvajal having to turn backwards. Parker Wells looking up with a lovely little turn there. Referee gives a free kick. Lassalia ends up taking him down, and it's going to be Luke Baldwin to try and provide the ball into the area. In fact, no, he's going to leave it, actually. I think he's leaving it to Hendrickson. To the left foot, the in swinger, because it's from the right-hand side. As Ilkley look at it, as I look at it, it's on the left. A couple of people over the back post. Parker Wells is going to be one of them, one of the taller midfielders, and it's have to be somewhat slapped away by Owen Evans. The Second ball didn't really fall. Hendrickson has an opportunity to put it back in from the same sort of area. He lofts it in to the back post. Centre backs for Ilkley Town, not the tallest, Lewin Staunton. But it's a great turn by Prato on the left-hand side now. The tricky winger wins another free kick for Ilkley, causing problems by loading it over to the back post. Owen Evans definitely wasn't convincing when he was flapping at the ball, trying to get it away for Worsbrough. And Hendrickson, actually, I thought maybe, or theorised that he was doing in-swingers. That was what they were going for, but actually he's stood over the ball now as well for this one. Parker Wells at the back, Coates also in there. A couple of the taller players is lofted over. It's a bit behind a couple of them. But Parker Wells picks it up. Can he hit it on the turn? No, he lays it off to Staunton. Carvajal. Parker Wells has got plenty of time here on the right-hand side. Look, it's a lovely ball in. But Coates couldn't attack it. He didn't throw himself at it. It went over the course of a couple of the defenders. And Prata dancing. Can't get there. Can't kind of get a ball into the box. And Worsbrough have an opportunity to break here. But Prince Atakora mopping that one up. I think offside was given in the end. No, it wasn't a foul. It was an advantage, which didn't actually come to anything. So it's a couple of good opportunities there for Ilkley. Worsbrough might be slightly disappointed with giving so many good opportunities away, but Ilkley very smart on the ball. A couple of neat little turns. And we got to about halfway through this first half, and you'd say over the best opportunities really have probably gone to Ilkley. I mean, I suppose Worsbrough have hit the bar, of course. And Grist did actually end up sky one over the bar, which was unlike him, shall we say. Coates attempting anything apart from using his left foot to try and play the ball over. It's a lovely switch on here for Carvajal. The left-footed right winger tries to size his defender up. Oh, almost got clipped inside the area. Couldn't provide the ball in the end. It was good defending by Freddie Russell. Prince Atakora being a little bit more direct and getting the ball in. Going to be a goal kick, though. I think Atakora has managed to win himself a corner here. No one who, I mean, that was about 15 yards away from me. I couldn't believe it, but the linesman was about 3 yards away from it, so we'll take his word for it. Not Hendrickson to take this set piece. It is going to be Luke Baldwin, left-footed in-swinger. Atakora is coming close, trying to bait a couple of the Worsbrough defenders out. Baldwin doesn't look too interested in actually giving it to him. They've left two defenders back in what looks like Mendes and Hendrickson back there in an attempt to do the counter. Referee's just stopped it. He's pulling two players away, Prata and Sidibe, and having a quick word with them. A little bit of drama maybe at the front post. We'll keep an eye on them as Luke Baldwin just went to hit it as the referee called a stop to that, so he's going to have to get the ball and put it back down. Barter's moved over to the back. In fact, Ilkley Town pretty much overloading the back post now as they try and make some kind of movement. It's a good little ball in. I've seen this before. It didn't end up in a goal though this time. Baldwin playing the ball down on the floor to the edge of the area effectively. One player stepping over at Parker Wells and Hoban coming in to try and hit it and offset the goalkeeper. Trying to catch Worsbrough out. I've seen it in every game I've actually commentated. I've seen it work twice actually for Ilkley Town. In the end, it was a nice little shot, but Owen Evans saves it down low. And Worsbrough can now try and move their way up the field, but they've just given it straight back to Ilkley. A little bit shaken here, Worsbrough. Ends up back at Matthew Keane's feet. The goalkeeper tries to ping it out to Parker Wells with a nice little bit of control. If he was playing in the Premier League, they say he has a good touch for a big lad. In fact, he's just brought it out of the air from Owen Evans. Although ends up giving the foul away, and Worsbrough, about 5-10 yards inside the Ilkley half, have an opportunity to throw the ball into the area and try and see if Matthew Keane will be bullied out of this one. So Dempsey Smith, just inside the Ilkley Town half, looks to throw it in towards the back post. A couple of players running in there, and actually it was a shot in the end that came down from a great height. It was going to have to be something special from Isaac Jeffries to catch it and end up on target, let alone going into the back of the net. He skewed it wide, shall we say, off the outside of the right foot and the edge of the area. Hendrickson looking for Coates. Coates going short for the ball. And offers the ball back to Hendrickson, probably not in the way that he was hoping to receive it. It's a bit of a, I would sort of classify it as a 4-2-3-1 on Ilkley's front. Coates definitely the player who's trying to lead the line. But Luke Baldwin's sort of operating anywhere he fancies going. Sees some space, he runs himself into it. Carvajal on the right wing and Prata on the left wing. Good strong defending there by Hendrickson. Prata offloading it to Parker Wells. Coates, can he hold it up? Not a great touch. And it's shepherded out of play strong there by the right back, who I can't quite see. I think it was Dempsey Smith. Yes, it is Dempsey Smith, number 6. Long switch over to the left-hand side. A strong header by Josh Brown. Not really to anybody, though. More into an area and hoping that it would work. As Ilkley Town gets it back into their centre-backs. Trying to play a bit more of a modern way of playing, I suppose. It's a couple of passes around the back line and then sort of pumped forward to try and hope that Coates or Carvajal can run onto it. Bit of a mix of old-fashioned Route 1 with a bit of modern build-up. Brown flicks it on, but only as far as the centre-backs for Ilkley. It's bouncing all over the place here. Neither team really want to get their foot on the ball. Freddie Russell tries to whip one in. Again, not really clean by any team. I think it goes out off an Ilkley player to be one of those characteristic long throw-ins on the left-hand side. Now I can finally actually see who the long throw-in is potentially being taken from. It's all the way across the other side of the pitch. And I think it's Jake Squires who's the player with the big arm. Nearly 30 minutes into this game, and we've had a good couple of opportunities for both teams, and that is a very long throw. Ended up being Ilkley header, but it's scrambled away just about by Ilkley as well. There was an opportunity, I think, I couldn't quite see who it was, and it might have been Lassalia. But it gets cleared away in the end. So, Freddie Russell gets it down the line off a throw himself on the left-hand side. It's again, well, in fact, it's won in the end by Carvajal. Or Baldwin, actually, sorry. Who then Coates tries to find Carvajal. Sidibe with the slide misses it. And Parker Wells can surge through the centre. He's beaten 2 of them. He's trying to find Prata. Can he cut it back? It's going to be given offside. Coates with an easy tap in. Didn't actually get there in the end. I think the pass might have been behind him after all that. But Prata was given offside. Very good opportunity for Ilkley Town. Parker Wells, he was surging through, he beat 2 players, and he just had to nip it round the right back, but Prata had gone a touch too early. I thought that might have been the case from even my angle of linesman definitely giving it, the assistant referee I should say, definitely giving it with the best angle in the whole ground. So Owen Evans with the kick up to the right hand side, trying to get Grist involved, who was quite lively in the opening couple of stages, but I haven't really seen too much of him since then. Prata gets on the left, had an overload of Mendes, but wasn't to be for the time being. In fact, he's annoyed that the players didn't offer him. Oh no, he was annoyed that the player actually kicked him. He's ended up getting the referee's attention, and they end up getting the free kick. Well, that was a bit late and touched soft from my perspective, but I'm not a referee, so Ilkley Town about on their left hand side as they look at it. Hendrickson's trying to loft this one in. Coates at the back post. It's about 15, 20 yards inside the Worsbrough half. Hendrickson lofts it onto the edge of the 18-yard box, and it's cleared away by Freddie Russell, only as far as Staunton, who clears the ball up over halfway. Grist attempted to get the ball down for his team, and actually it gets switched out to Josh Brown, who tries to attack Atakora, who was looking for a foul. He didn't get it. Brown beats him, and Hendrickson brings Brown down, but it's no penalty. Potentially looking for it. Worsbrough very annoyed at that one. Brown got past Atakora, who gave up on it somewhat, and then ended up jinking past Hendrickson. Went down too easy, according to the referee. As I said, Keelan Grist, who was pretty much everywhere at the start of this game, has gone slightly quiet for Worsbrough. Long throw didn't come into anything, but has been launched back in. A long shot there by Freddie Russell, and it's still pinballing around the Ilkley box. Not entirely sure who's going to get their foot on this. In the end, it's Matthew Keane who gets his hand on it, because it was a bit of a long shot by Stephen Williams. Right back and left back having pops from both sides. Neither of them actually really damaging the goal. And Keane launches it up towards Coates, trying to battle with the back line. Comes back out to Hoban, who gives it off to Atakora. Had more time than that. Offers it to Hoban, who was a little bit rushed. Ball's in the back line for Ilkley as Prata tries to take control, and again he's got the free kick. They're really struggling to hold on to Prata here. As Mendes tries to find Parker Wells at the left-hand side, but in the end, I think Mendes actually gives away a free kick. The form of these two teams really is not what I would have expected coming into the form. The previous 5 games is what you would expect really from two teams at the opposite ends of the table, but you wouldn't know after coming up to half time that this was the case. It was Worsbrough Bridge have won 4 and lost 1 in the past 5 games. They've beaten Wakefield, who are of course second in the league, Maltby, Leeds UFCA, and the Cowell Colts. As I'm just looking to see whether anything is going on now. It's still a bit pinbally, a bit scrappy. Sidibe tries to find it out for the shot. In the end, it comes to Grist on the right-hand side, but it's well defended by Mendes. They lost. The only game they lost in the middle of those 5 actually was against Route 1 Rovers 3-2. Ilkley have had a different run of form recently. They lost to Armthorpe 4-1. Selby they drew 0-0, Crowell Colts 1-0, Gould they lost 6-3, and Winnerton they lost 3-1 as well. So has been a bit of a turbulent time for Ilkley, but I suppose being 17th, they are going to come under a little bit of pressure here, there and everywhere, but they're making a good showing of themselves here, 34 minutes in. Ball gets in from the corner, it's coming back out towards Brent. Actually, no, intercepted well. They try and break, but it's a poor ball. I think from Carvajal. Ends up back at Mendes and Parker Wells, and the attack potentially still on here, although they look like they're slowing it down. Yeah, Mendes gives it back to Hendrickson in the back line. He's looking for the pass, but ends up just switching it out to his defensive partner, Staunton. And the ball just getting passed around the back line here. Jacob Mistry, who's done a good job since he came in November, amongst a whole host of changes in the background of Ilkley Town. Whole new board, whole new managerial setup, host of new players, new club captain as well, and Mark Hoban. There's plenty to go against Ilkley Town, but realistically, I think they've probably succeeded in steadying the ship somewhat and getting themselves into an opportunity where they may well be able to come out of this season fairly safe. There is a few permutations that I've written down that could end up changing throughout the course of these 3 p.m. kickoffs. I'll come back to them in a minute because Atakora looks to potentially be able to get the ball in here. It's fallen to Coates on the edge of the area. Carvajal's got an onrushing Worsbrough defender coming back in. Carvajal's gone through the legs of the keeper. Barter squares it again, but Hoban's not there to sweep it away. And one of the closest opportunities that Ilkley have had, and really, it was down to the goalkeeper, Owen Evans, getting megged as it came back across his goal. Matthew Keane, the other goalkeeper, going for a bit of an adventure as he clears the ball onto the rugby post. Parker Wells went down there, and he stayed down. He's getting up, limping back towards his halfway line. For Worsbrough, they've pretty much secured the playoff positions. If they win this, though, of course, they've got a whole host of games in hand against other teams around them. They would move up to 82 points if Wakefield drop points against Selby Town. That means that Worsbrough could move into second place, putting them in the strongest possible position for the playoffs. Of course, the top 2 teams, second and third, they get home advantage for the playoffs, which is something that's a lot more important than you would expect, actually. Even when, oh my days, as I look up for my notes, there's a wild shot from about 25 yards out. I think it was Sidibe. Went absolutely over the goal, over the fence, and into the probably the goal on the grass pitch behind them. There's 3 different scenarios for Ilkley today. If Ilkley win, which is the one that I'm guessing most of the home fans here would be hoping for, and Athersley Recreation lose to Crow Colts, then Ilkley moving to 43 points, creating a 4-point gap with 2 games remaining, which basically makes their survival almost certain. So this is a bit of a big game for both teams. I would say more for Ilkley Town. If they win here, as I said, and Athersley lose, so not only do they have to obviously come against one of the strongest teams in the division, they also have to beat. They also have to rely on a rival, Athersley, losing to the Colts. Well, they're out, I would say, with added time, about 10 minutes remaining. They made a good account for themselves, and again, a strong physical battle has left 2 players on the floor and 1 halfway down onto it. Luke Baldwin touching the back of his leg after he came together with one of the Worsbrough players, and I think that's Prato who's been left on the ground as well. Yeah, it is Edson Prato. As Worsbrough gather around their player to see what on earth happened between him. I can't see the number, which is a bit of a shame. There's a coming together between the Worsbrough player and Luke Baldwin, but before that, Prato had been left on the ground regardless in the middle of the park. There's medical attention going to be needed here for the Worsbrough player as Prato gets back up. Scenario B for Ilkley Town, which is a draw for them, which currently, as it stands, is the case, of course. That would keep them at 41 points, and if Appleby Frodingham win their game in hand, they would leapfrog Ilkley, pushing the Bathhasses down to 18th and they're liable for relegation zone. Now, apparently there is a relegation zone and a relegation sort of appeals process, I suppose, in this division. I'm not entirely sure what the ins and outs of that are, so I'm not going to go into it too much. If Ilkley lose, which is the bookies' favourite, let's face it, both Athersley and Appleby win, Ilkley could end up the weekend in 19th place. That would be a monumental task, given the fact that they've only got 2 games left of this season. You may well hear a whole host of mascots coming into the stand near where I am. And they've done a great job today, bringing a little bit of atmosphere, and I think they enjoyed going out onto the pitch at half-time. The reason why I think they've come over to my stand is at half-time they get to go onto the pitch and play in the goals, which is really good fun to those guys and a good reason why they keep coming down. If Worsbrough lose, a loss keeps them on 79 points, and if Harrogate Railway wins, Worsbrough would drop to 4th place. Now, that would still be in the playoff area, but it would lose their home advantage in the playoffs. And the Worsbrough player is still down currently. And I've just remembered that, yeah, in fact, I saw on Worsbrough's Instagram just as I was getting here, and they ended up beating Barnsley's under 21s in the Sheffield and Hallamshire Senior Cup semi-finals. Meant they move on to the final. Now, that was on to the 3rd of March, that semi-final. The other semi-final was only played last Tuesday. That was against Worksop Town and Rosington Main. Worksop ended up winning 5-1 in that particular game, which means Worsbrough Bridge Athletic will go into the Sheffield and Hallamshire Senior Cup final against Worksop Town. I think that is the first time that Worsbrough have ever managed to make it to the Sheffield and Hallamshire Senior Cup final. Unfortunately, I can't quite see when that game will take place. I'll see if I can find it out during half-time. And after that lengthy stoppage, we're back underway. Mendes throwing it over towards Hendrickson. That means we'll probably get about 5 minutes, I would estimate, of added time. As Mark Hoban looks to try and find a little bit of space. Carvajal coming very deep to get his foot on the ball. Sorry, not Carvajal, Baldwin, I should say. In fact, as I'm looking at it, the ball gets played back to Keane, and Carvajal throws his hands up. He wants the ball played forward. A little bit more energy as we go in towards half-time. The ball does get launched over the top by Staunton, and Prince Atakora is trying to run onto it. Strong defensive header away, but they can only clear it away as far as Carvajal, who drives at his defenders now. Tries to find Coates, but Prata coming onto it. Skies it over the bar. The edge of the area ends up on the hockey pitch behind me, I believe. Of course, Ben Ridding, majority of the facilities here based towards hockey. Apparently a very strong hockey setup, actually, here in Ilkley Town. Another opportunity for Ilkley goes begging. We remember way back when, in the first 7 minutes or so, may have been the first 5 minutes actually, we had an opportunity for Dan Coates, who just didn't really throw his head at it. I think he was slightly worried that the goalkeeper was going to come out and clear him out slightly, but there was a gilt-edge opportunity, one that I thought he was going to a curse going into half-time, because after that it was all Worsbrough. But Ilkley Town have managed to get themselves back into this, and probably, over the course of the half, have had the majority of the chances. In fact, I think I can only think of Worsbrough only having about 2 realistic chances. One header that hit the bar, and Grist, who ended up hitting the ball as far over as Prata just did. And Ilkley Town giving a silly little foul there, a little push in the backside on Lasalier. That free kick given to Worsbrough, going to be launched in from the left-hand side. In swinging with the right foot. Couple of people at the back post. Keane comes to claim it. He ends up getting the punch away. Prata can't get the clearance further than Sidibe, who pushes it all the way over back to that left side, but no one was actually there to receive it. Staunton launches it back post, seeking Grist. Parker Wells clears it away. But again, Worsbrough finishing this half strong. Couple of balls into the area. They haven't really asked too much of the goalkeeper just yet. As another one goes in, again Parker Wells, but there's an opportunity on the edge of the area. They've had plenty of shots from the edge of the area so far, Worsbrough. And then it's going to be a corner kick. We're running into the last 20 seconds of the 45. As I mentioned, there's going to be a whole host of extra minutes added on. I'd estimate about 4 or 5. Not sure if they've got an electronic board which they're going to be able to hold up, or whether we're just going to have to guess when this half is going to finish. But the ball gets put in. Parker Wells, I think that was, heads it away as far as the edge of the area as Josh Brown clears the goal, clears the fence yet again, and I think we're pretty much down to our last match ball. There'll be a bit of a retrieval process, I imagine, at half time. To be fair, that would give the mascot something to do. Carvajal coming close to try and open up some space for Hoban, but the ball's hit too far. And Owen Evans mops up, slightly unconvincingly. Again, a bit flappy as he tries to get the ball under his control, but the kick is long, the kick is good. It's over, it's on to Hendricks' head. In fact, it's over him. And Grist, although he just had to control it, he ended up being faced the wrong way by Mendes and controlled it onto his back. Although he's got the ball back here, Grist tries to find the ball inside. In the end, cleared up by Parker Wells. Sidibe, nice little footwork, gets it out to Grist. Whips the ball back across. An unconventional clearance by Baldwin, and it gets scrapped around the area with Matthew Keane finally being able to pick the ball up. And dishes it out to Carvajal with an unbelievable little turn on the halfway line. Can he spring a bit of a counter here? Finds Parker Wells. Prater's got inside, not really given him an option. Towards the end of half time here, Ilkley trying to put on something to shout about, give Worsbrough a bit of a headache in their team talk. But they've slowed it down once more. Hoban looking for the ball over the top. He's got almost next to the striker here. As getting towards the business end. Hendrickson out to Mendes. Hoban has stayed up there, and Mendes has actually managed to find his way through. Looks for the pass out, but again, Coates being outpaced. Really, unfortunately for him, he's just not had the pace in comparison to Conor Glavin, Dempsey Smith, the two centre-backs. Referee glances at the watch. I imagine there's going to be a couple of more minutes left to play. An opportunity for Owen Evans to launch this goal kick into the heavens. And I see a big, daunting-looking cloud on my right-hand side. May end up this sun could come to an end after the second half. I'm looking at that sort of ominous cloud on my right. Bowen coming from the right now. They're loading the box with the big guns. The long throw, not quite as easy from that direction as there's not as much space. Cleared out by Ilkley. Sort of, not really, actually. Now it is cleared. Larsalia was trying to get his foot on it, but again, losing balance. It was cleared by Ilkley. Josh Brown wins the header. It's scrapped around, but Hoban managed to get it clear. Dempsey Smith looks up. He can find Grist. It's too much. Over the top of him. Over the top of the defender. It's going to be a goal kick. We're now 3 minutes, or nearly 4 minutes into this added time. We didn't start bang on 3 o'clock, to be fair, so maybe it's only 3 minutes. My time was ticking down from that 3 o'clock mark, which would, I think, overran by about a minute. But 0-0, I think Ilkley Town will be the much happier of the two going into this half-time period. Glasgow, I keep saying that. Worsbrough gonna find a second or third gear because with their foot on the ball, they haven't really done that much. Lots of shots. There'll be lots of stats that say they've had opportunities, but actually they're all from the edge of the area as Prater tries to fire the ball over the top for Carvajal. Nothing doing, and Owen Evans, and clear it back up. Baldwin gets gifted the ball on the halfway line. Finds a lot of space on the right-hand side. This could be one last opportunity for Ilkley. Stops and slows it down. Nice little ball into Hoban, who finds Carvajal. Hoban and Coates in the air. Carvajal deflected. Almost ends up going to Coates. Parker Wells hits it over the bar to the right-hand side. Hits a couple of the fans. Mascots swarmed to try and get their hands on the match ball. And a couple of people I can see have gone to retrieve a couple of match balls. Actually, I can see two people in front of me with 3 balls in hand going around to the dugout. Again, that was, I would say, a very good opportunity for Ilkley Town as the half-time whistle blows. So at half-time, it is 0-0. And a round of applause here from the people that sat next to me as the players are walking in. That gives the opportunity for the mascots to go on to the pitch. So here at the MPM Stadium, it is Ilkley Town 0, Worsbrough Bridge 0 as well. Good opportunities for both teams. I would say the majority of which came from Ilkley Town. Lots of shots from outside the box from Worsbrough. None of them really testing Matthew Keane. 1 bar hit by Worsbrough, but apart from that, that's pretty much it. We'll see you in about 10-15 minutes' time for the second half. Welcome back, everybody, to Ilkley Town versus Worsbrough Bridge here at the MPM Stadium in the heart of the Yorkshire. Well, not quite the heart of Yorkshire Dales, actually. I'd say the edge of them. But it's a lovely day here, interspersed every so often by a smattering of rain that has already threatened to ruin my computer once. Hopefully, it won't do so again. I have slightly moved it over with the help of a few of the fans. So, 0-0. Been a interesting first half. Realistically, I think Ilkley probably had the majority of the best opportunities, whereas Worsbrough probably came out strongest in the first 10 minutes, and ever since then haven't really been able to manufacture clear-cut chances. Lots of shots from outside the box, but apart from that, nothing really going for them. National Long League Day, of course. This is the 15th iteration of a fantastic campaign trying to highlight some grassroots football rather than just the elitist Premier League and Championship and all that sort of boring nonsense, really. We're obviously interested in proper football here at Ilkley Town. And a whole host of people, given the fact that England are boring and the Championship and Premier League obviously are not on, have come down to support here, and even more raffle prizes are being won here. Number 280, I can actually see in front of me that number 280 has been won on the raffle as the kickoff starts. I get distracted by a bottle of wine in front of me. I'm sure I can't be to blame too much for that as the second half has started. Well, that's very profitable for for the Hutchinson Pascal family. Anyway, we're supposed to be watching some football now. Coates offside as it was prodded through von Carvajal. This time Ilkley are kicking obviously away from me. So I'll do my best to try and identify the players as we go through the match. But you can't always see the numbers on the back of the tops with Worsbrough attacking towards us. I was mentioning National Long League Day. This year, it's actually backed by 77 national campaign partner, doing all the sort of, I suppose, social media, graphic work, media work for pro bono, which is a fantastic contribution by those guys to make the campaign really stand out and make sure that people are knowing about it. Key charitable partners, prostate cancer, of course. And there's actually a new non-league award celebrating volunteers and fans up and down the country, which is brilliant. So, with Worsbrough attacking towards us, Atakora managing to get his foot in and just about win the ball. There's a bit of a skew whiffed clearance there as Coates trying to charge onto it, but in the end, it was Owen Evans who managed to make the clearance, only as far as Luke Baldwin who gets tackled. Mendes playing it back to Hendrickson, who clears it back up to the Worsbrough defence. But again, their clearance has been a little bit haphazard over the opening couple of minutes here at Ilkley Town. And as it's going a little bit too back and forth, Parker Wells finally gets his foot on the ball. A couple of nice little turns. Can't really find a pass or a convincing one anyway. These two sides I mentioned at opposite ends of the table. Worsbrough Bridge Athletic pursuing their playoff seeding and pursuing their hopes for being at home on the playoffs, of course. They are behind Wakefield by 5 points. However, they do have 3 games in hand on the team above them and beat them in the last game before they came here. There's a bit of a statement of intent to that victory against Wakefield, actually. And if Worsbrough do win here and Wakefield lose, Worsbrough win their 2 games in hand, they will end up finishing ahead of Wakefield, or being ahead of Wakefield. They might not finish there, of course. There's a couple more games after that as well. For the majority of people, including the likes of Wakefield and Ilkley Town, there is only 2 games after this one remaining of the season. 24 teams involved. Well, Worsbrough managed to get through, and there's a free kick given here. As Grist was running past rather convincingly against Luke Baldwin. Stop looking at my notes and end up looking at the pitch. Right on the edge of the area, this, but it's on the corner, the left-hand side. As Worsbrough looking at it, it's going to be a right. It's on the right-hand side of the area. So it's going to be a left-footed in-swinger, if you can picture that. Matthew Keane's going to have his senses about him. I imagine this could either be a shot or a cross, an opportunity for both in this such tighter angle. Coates and Prater in the wall of front, only two. Only about a yard off the penalty area. It's whipped to the back post. It's a good ball. It's trying to head it back across, but not really to anybody in the end. Mendes clears it out to the right as Carvajal tries to surge through, and he's managed to get the beating of his defender. He's charging down the right-hand side, looks for the ball into Coates, who gets his foot on it, and he didn't turn the right way, though. Prater screaming for it on the left-hand side of him, gives it back out to the right. The ball gets whipped into the area, and Worsbrough can clear it and try and break themselves, but a good intervention by Lewis Staunton means that that was somewhat quashed. Ends up back at Owen Evans' feet. Opportunity there. Coates really, it's a fantastic work by Carvajal. Pinged the ball into Coates, who had Prater running through on his left-hand side, just didn't turn around, didn't give him the ball. And in the end, it was stagnated. I'm sure Jacob Mystery, of course, the coach for Ilkley Town, will be fuming at that one because that was absolutely an opportunity. Right, Grist has it dispossessed by Mendes, who now charges himself after Stephen Williams charged up the field, the right back. Mendes does the same, actually. This time he's beaten one or two. Can he get the ball in? It's a big tackle. Strong tackle, fair tackle by Dempsey Smith, the centre-back for Worsbrough, and they win the free. I thought it was a free kick. Win the throw-in. Okay, it must have come off Mendes in the end. Parker Wells takes the throwing down onto his chest. Tries to find a couple of people in the middle, and wow, that's I don't know whether that was a shot or an ambitious effort, or whether it was just trying to play the ball over the top for the oncoming striker of Lascelles. Ended up in Matthew Keane's hands, but the referee has called it back for a foul for Worsbrough just inside their own half, but they've sent the majority of people forward to try and win any scraps, second ball shots or anything like that. Indeed, actually, Coates has been called back here, so they've only left Prater, Ilkley, up the sharp end of the pitch, and even then he's not really that far up. Parker Wells wins the header, and it's cleared, but again, there is no Ilkley Town player there to run onto it, so it just goes back to Owen Evans in goal. Flicked on by Worsbrough against Prince Atakora. I think that is a substitution, actually. Lewis O'Connor has come on, so that was a bit of a half-time substitution. Lewis O'Connor's come on, and so is Lloyd Smith, so a double change for Worsbrough. I wish I could tell you who it was, but no one's told me, so that might be difficult. I might be able to see online. Football web pages, if anybody's wondering, does a good job of keeping details up to date, but only if the teams actually update the substitutions, which they haven't done. So if anybody tells me who has exactly come off for Worsbrough, I will let you know. It might be an opportunity that I could see if there's... I can't see a certain player. Number 8, Isaac Jeffries. I'm struggling to see as the ball gets played into Grist. It's not been cleared by Mendes, but it's been cleared by Hendrickson, and it's been saved by the trees. Otherwise, that would have been floating down the river for quite some time. I should really know what that river is called, actually. The River Wharf, I've been instructed. Bowen then from the right-hand side, controlled down by O'Connor, who manages to give it back to the centre-back of Worsbrough. Lifted a nice ball in, actually. It was very tempting, but just a bit too far away from the attackers of Worsbrough. It was Dempsey Smith who actually put the ball in. Now, again, back to my identification of who exactly has come off. I cannot see Isaac Jeffries, so I'd assume one of them is for him, and maybe Jake Squires, the number 10. I can see Grist is still on, playing out on right wing. And I can see number 11 of Josh Brown is still on. So I'm going to work under the assumption that Isaac Jeffries and Jake Squires have made way for Lloyd Smith and Lewis O'Connor. At the moment, don't worry, nothing is happening too much. They're just kicking the ball to and from the goalkeepers, basically. So as I make the notes on my notepad about who's come off. So the ball with the Dempsey, the centre-back of Worsbrough. They look to try and eke some space out of Ilkley. Probing, moving the shape that has been relatively strong so far in this game. I'm sure a couple of the Ilkley coaching staff will want to keep it that way, but Worsbrough desperate to try and break them down. They haven't had too many great opportunities so far. Only two, and half a chance maybe, but no one actually at the other end of it in this second half. Prince Atakora has been left on the floor after coming together. And free kick given to Ilkley. In fact, I can see on the other end of the pitch, Owen Evans has gone down, the goalkeeper. No one around him. Referee's gone over to have a word. And I think there's a substitution. I don't think that was a substitution. I think one of the players has come on and just taken another shirt. Janino Blake. May well have been a substitution, but it looked like he was just putting another top on. So I don't know whether Janino Blake has actually come on or whether it's a just a change of shirt for him, but I would be very surprised at that because the referee wouldn't allow just to change a shirt to a different number. So Janino Blake looks like he's also come on for Worsbrough. It'd be really helpful if someone would update football web pages or just at least tell me what's going on. The attendance, I can tell you actually, just looking at the one of the chats for Ilkley Town, the attendance today has been 175 people, 173, but two have just turned up at half time, which is astonishing. 33 of them were kids, which is fantastic. A lot of them being the mascots, of course, but 175 people. I think that is the record for today, this season, I should say, for Ilkley Town. As far as the stats I could see earlier, was 150 was the best they'd managed up until this point. The average was about 70, so double, over double actually, what you would tend to see here at the MPM Stadium. It's fantastic National Non-League Day attendance. So Coates not going for the clearance by Keane, but Parker Wells trying to get involved in pressuring the defender of Dempsey Smith. There really hasn't been much going on over the past sort of 5 minutes or so. I know I haven't really been talking too much about what the action is going out there on the pitch, but because there hasn't been an awful lot, I'll be honest. A lot of pinging the ball back and forth between defences. No real quality at all between the two teams as we got into the second half. And even now, it's sort of getting flicked around and head up in the air. Although Worsbrough looks to get the ball in behind. Fintatakora read that. Cleared out by Lewin Staunton. And there's going to be a substitution here from Ilkley very early in the second half. Not as early as the Worsbrough substitutions were, of course, given the fact that they were at half-time. They've made 3 already, if I'm going to count that Janino Blake came on. Not entirely sure who for. But it looks like there's going to be a change, and it's number 16, I think. Kem coming on. Can't quite see who for. There's a player walking around the outside of the ground, but they have taken their shirts off, which means I cannot see the number. The bliss of non-league football. I think it's Step 6 football, this, the NCEL. And straight into it, and Kem is looking to try and put an awful lot of pressure on the defence and try and get himself physically known. Someone near me is eating a hot dog, and it smells delightful. Is it you in front of me? One of the mascots? That smells amazing, that hot dog. And it's skipped through on the left-hand side, ridden of challenge of 2 or 3 players. It had Lloyd Smith, one of the substitutions for Worsbrough. He's won the free kick, and he's pushing his teammates away from it. It's on the edge of the area. He was brought down. And it was a good run, really. It didn't look like it was coming from anything, but he managed to push through about 5 or 6 bodies until it was actually an opportunity where I thought he was going to unleash it. But as he was taken down, he got straight up, grabbed hold of the ball, and pushed away. I believe it was Lasalier. So Lloyd Smith, who's come on and has made an impact here. Matthew Keane is trying to line his wall up, and he's asked 4 players to be in it. The likes of Parker Wells, Lewin Staunton, Hendrickson, and Mendes. 4 tallest players he can muster to cover that near post. From a Worsbrough perspective, it's on the left-hand side, just outside the 18-yard box. He hits it, it's straight into the wall, doing its job. Really, they didn't even need to jump as the ball is pinged back into the area. Ilkley's area. It's a lovely volley cross back in by Grist. But it was to no one. And the ball goes out for a goal kick. It was probably realistically too close for Lloyd Smith to get the ball up and over. So he almost tried to go through the wall. It was slap bang in the middle of it. Not entirely sure whether he was trying to go over, under it, around it. Wasn't the best free kick regardless, and I think maybe the next one, no matter how forcefully he gets his hands on it, he may well be overruled. So Owen Evans, who seems to have recovered from his earlier bout of cramp, I'm guessing it was, as launches the ball up, and it's a little bit scrappy on the right-hand side for Ilkley, as Worsbrough tried to find Grist. Finds Livislear, and it finds Brown. He's through on goal. It's crossed back across, but it's saved off the line pretty much by Lewin Staunton. I think Josh Brown, he just couldn't get his foot wrapped really around it. The ball was running away from him a little bit quicker than he was expecting. But Grist and Lasalier managing to link up. Brown just not quite quick enough to get the shot away, had to pull it back across goal, and Staunton was there standing strong. So Worsbrough now foot on the ball with the goalkeeper and 2 centre-backs. Ilkley back into their shape as Evans sprays it over to Grist, who wins the header. Lasalier could not get the ball around Hendrickson, who clears it out for a throw-in. But we know what's going to come here. Another long one. Stephen Williams. Stephen Williams to launch one in. Manages to make it to the 6-yard area before Hoban heads it away. Deflection on the shot. And Matthew Keane Gets a cheer as he gets his hands on it. There's a little bit of space here. I was going to say, I think he did try and find Carvajal, but the goal kick was slightly skewed. Parker Wells and Hoban haven't got their influence on it in the midfield at all in this second half. They try to now by slowing it down slightly. Atakora to Carvajal. Tries to flick to the on-running Atakora. Hoban brings it down expertly. Plucked out of the air. Parker Wells looking to try and find a runner. Nobody offering for him at the moment, and so he moves it back out to the left back of Mendes. Skins one player. Links up with Nkem and couldn't give the ball back to him. So Worsbrough now usher it back to Owen Evans again. Nkem looks like he's gone and stood himself right up front, and to be fair, don't blame Jacob Mystery for making the change. Dan Coates didn't cover himself in an awful lot of glory. He didn't seem to have the beating of the centre-backs in pace, and he was struggling to hold the ball up. So no real surprise that Nkem has come on to try and make that difference. Pinged into the striker of Worsbrough, Lloyd Smith, who remember took that free kick a couple of moments ago, couldn't keep hold of it. And Vince Atakora gives it out to Carvajal, who drives at the defence. Real quick transition here from Ilkley. Goes inside, trying to find the pass into Nkem. Ends up stopped by about 3 defenders in the end as Lloyd Smith tries to beat Atakora. He couldn't. Parker Wells nips the ball off both of them. Rides a couple of challenges and couldn't get through the third. Back into the Worsbrough penalty area with Owen Evans. Grist keeping Mendes off, and looks like a decent ball over to Hendrickson. Matthew Keane has come a long way out of his area, but well, not a long way out of his area, come a long way out of his area, and tries to spray the pass into the striker. Didn't manage it, but it was convincing by the Ilkley goalkeeper. Good conviction in what he was doing. Hoban to Prata, who's come inside to find Carvajal. Carvajal with a lovely spray over to Hoban, who's not offside according to the referee. Hoban on the left wing tries to whip it in. It's a frankly terrible cross. With his left foot. Just goes straight out of play. Didn't even make it to the goal before it went out of play. Atakora has gone down for what I think is the second time in this game, and he's signalling to the bench. We could see a change in the back line here. Atakora, who has had 19 starts so far this campaign. Ilkley do have a player stripped of his bib and ready to go. Unlike the Premier League or Championship, players are actually ready on the bench, which is always a bit of a nice sight. They don't have to get half changed before they go on the pitch. And it is going to be a substitution, and I think it is going to be Atakora. I assume it's going to be Atakora. I think the other people that are just hunkered around the dugout are just getting their drinks, the likes of Hendrickson and Mendes. So with this slight break in play, I think I'm just wondering whether they're going to try and get Atakora back up. Atakora is back on his feet, but if we're looking at crucial fixtures that are remaining for Ilkley, they're must-wins, every single one of them. They've got a scheduled meeting with Appleby Frodingham in April, which is likely to be a definitive 6-pointer. Determines who remains in the NCEL Division 1. Furthermore, a clash of the Nostell Miners welfare represents a 3-point chance for them as well. Worsbrough, they have 3 clashes in April. Armthorpe, Doncaster and Appleby. which is not really must-win games, but they must win if they want to take that home advantage later on. If we're looking at the stats between these two, as we get the game back underway, Prince Atakora is on the side of the pitch, but I think he's hoping to get back on. So that substitution hasn't been made as far as I can tell for the time being. They're just having to play with a player down, and then Wind actually holds that ball up over the top. The average points per game between Ilkley and Worsbrough, 1.03 points per game for Ilkley, 2.19 for Worsbrough, which is a bit grim reading for Ilkley. However, the game is still 0-0. That's in front of us. So stats really do not matter when it comes down to what actually happens in the game. There's a ball over Mendez's head as he tries to clear it away, the left back. Parker Wells with the head as well over to Prato, who can't. Well, he does manage to keep it in. I thought that was going well off his foot and out for a throw-in. And he gets the free kick as a consequence as well, actually, after being kicked. Did well there, keeping it in play in front of the dugout. Hendrickson there, and don't know really who he's going to kick this one to. There's not many people offering for a short ball. Prata's coming to him now. And he does actually take Prata's option of the short ball and looks to give it back to the goalkeeper. Matthew Keane out to Staunton as they move it over to the right-hand side. Hoban looks for a little bit of a run, but it's actually Nkem who comes to get the ball off his right back. Prata finds Parker Wells at left back, left wing. Sorry, it's not a good pass though. It didn't quite make it and invited Stephen Williams in to make a tackle. Ilkley do hold on to it as a throw-in, but somewhat stunted with lots of space there, Parker Wells. Mendez with the throw-in on the left-hand side then. Cleared by Worsbrough. Still 0-0 this game. We could do with a goal to liven up both teams realistically. As Worsbrough win a free kick just inside their own half. "25 minutes into the second half, and just realised it still says half time on the stream. So my apologies. I'll get that quickly edited. It is a one-man band here. This broadcast. So back at the action, and Parker Wells looking up to try and find some space as he turns around and goes back, much to the dismay of a fair few of his teammates, who he apologises to now. Hendrickson gets the ball into Baldwin and out to Staunton as a little bit of possession joy, at least, for Ilkley Town. Even if they're not really cutting Worsbrough with it, it's still better than giving the ball away, which is exactly what they've done. Hendrickson giving the ball away into the midfield, and Worsbrough tried to surge through as a couple of runners who they decided not to give it to, and they slow it down themselves. You are waiting. You feel like this game is waiting for some kind of spark to bring it to life again. The second half has not really been as engaging, shall we say, as the first was. Couple of opportunities, but nothing too much to shout about. Janino Blake here in the left wing. Ball whips in after it gets ricocheted around by Brown. There's a bit of a push, and almost getting in there was Livislayer. Liar, even. My apologies. Can't read my own handwriting. But in the end, he was absolutely nowhere near it. We have had that opportunity. Josh Brown squaring it across Matthew Keane's box. But again, Staunton was there to tap it away. That's pretty much as close as we've got to goalmouth action. Parker Wells flicks it on, but only to Connor Glavin, who offers it back to his goalkeeper. Clears it up the halfway line. And Kem now at the striker position, trying to battle with his defensive midfielder for Worsbrough, and actually he must have heard me because he gets the shot off. It was on the edge of the area, and it does squirrel wide, but it was a lot closer than a lot of the opportunities we've had from similar positions. I think he's been told to get on there and put himself about. He certainly did that after he was fighting with Lewis O'Connor in the middle of the park to try and get the ball back. Showing his physical presence. Maybe vying for a chance to start. That's exactly what Jacob Mystery will be wanting from his players. This competition heats up towards the back end of the season. Hoban into Carvajal. Tries to find Prater. Close attention being paid to him now by the Worsbrough defence. Stephen Williams. Mendes nice and wide, trying to hug the sideline, trying to connect with Parker Wells. And Parker Wells has managed to get there, actually, and hits it off Stephen Williams, who I didn't think should have really any problem with that. Parker Wells doing very well to just catch Williams sleeping slightly. Mendes has passed down the line, should never have really connected with anybody. But it did, and that means we have a corner ball, and Prater goes over to the left-hand side to take it. Now, we saw an orchestrated routine from Ilkley in the first half, where he played it nice and low across the ground. Well, Bolden did. And two players went over it before a shot came off from Hoban. I wonder if they're going to do a similar thing, or whether it's going to be a bit more traditional. Doesn't really matter. Didn't clear the first man on the near post. Baldwin gets on the edge of the area, tries to turn, finds Carvajal on the edge of it as well. Plays it out to Parker Wells, who pings a ball towards the back post, and Baldwin's there to find it back in. It's off the bar, Staunton. Well, it was put back into a lovely area. Owen Evans was completely committed to try and get the ball, who ended up coming back in by Baldwin. And Staunton, middle of the area, 6-yard line, hits the crossbar and the ball goes over. Desperately unlucky there by Staunton. Couldn't get his head over it. And as he was running back in defence, he had his head in hands a fair few times. That was the best opportunity that Ilkley have manufactured over the course of this second half, for sure. Might even be the entire game. That bar has been hit twice now, once by Worsbrough and once by Ilkley. You may be able to hear in the background of the broadcast that a couple of the mascots giving their best support to Ilkley Town. I was quiet just then to see if it would be picked up on the stream. Hopefully it was, because they're putting their all into it, to be fair to them. Thrown on the left-hand side for Worsbrough now. Taken short. Not normally been launched into the box from those sort of areas. There's a foul on Parker Wells as he was scrapping with Lewis O'Connor. Two big midfielders. I think the two biggest players on the pitch, actually, falling over each other somewhat. And the Ilkley Town player gets the free kick. Still the second half, 0-0, 32 minutes into it. Around about just over 10 minutes to go then, and we could be in for a big last 10 minutes if we do get a goal relatively soon. I couldn't tell you who it's actually going to get it, though. Both goals have had a little bit of action out the front of it as Prater comes close off Hendrickson. He's trying to beat 2 or 3 players on the edge of the area, and I don't think Ilkley would have been too pleased if he'd lost it, but he didn't in the end. He finds Staunton, who tries to play it up towards Nkem. Can he get it under his spell? He doesn't quite set his good clearance there by Worsbrough. Defensive line. They try and spring a break themselves. It's Josh Brown on the left-hand side. Can he size the player? Staunton is the person who's trying to stop him. Not the best control by Lasalier. I can't say the name quick enough, my apologies. Janino Blake on the right-hand side lifts the ball in. Matthew Keane gets his hands on it. Keane offloads it to Parker Wells with a nice throw there. Rather than trying to kick it over to the right-hand side. Much more accurate to throw it if he can. Staunton. Oh, a little bit of a fake pass. Almost falls over it again. I don't reckon Jacob Mistry would be too pleased if he lost the ball doing something like that. They haven't lost it though, and Hoban tries to turn out and find Staunton again. It's a bit of a high press here by Worsbrough. Now it does allow a little bit of space behind for Ilkley, but they can't seem to take advantage of it. They are struggling to play it through the midfield. And the wind is actually even picking up, and I'm quite relatively sheltered here in the only stand with seats, I should say, in the MPM stadium. The rest of it is standing around the pitch effectively. And even I'm getting buffeted a little bit with it on the edge of the area. A little deflection. Lewis O'Connor, he had his back to goal. He quickly spat on the edge, took the shot. Took me by surprise, but a deflection or two killed the pace that it was lacking to start with, to be honest. And Matthew Keane offloads it out to Prata, who is coming deeper and deeper with Baldwin to try and get their foot on the ball to have some kind of influence. Prata's got a little bit of space now to drive into the centre of the park all to himself. Offloads it to Atakora, who doesn't control it cleanly enough, and the ball spurns out for another throw-in for Worsbrough. Durham District, by the way, just give a bit of an overview on what else is going on through the league. It's flicked on by Worsbrough. Josh Brown trying to anchor his foot over it and into the Ilkley net, but he couldn't quite get the timing right. I think you can tell maybe through the stream on who is a hometown supporter here. Dean and District, I was just about to mention them. They are the champions already. 39 games played, 101 points. So they have games in hand, and they're still champions ahead of the likes of Wakefield and Worsbrough Ridge, Harrogate Railway, Bricktown, and Leeds UFCA, which are the top 6. As there seems to be a little bit of a break. I'm not entirely sure why we stopped here, to be honest. Now, I was a bit confused there. I was just asking a few of the people around me while I was looking for my notes if I'd missed anything. And the keeper for Worsbrough, Owen Evans, who has been down before, is down again. Now, I don't know whether it's... I put it down to cramp before, and he seems to have stretched it out again and is back on his feet. I don't want to claim gamesmanship, but all the players very quickly huddled around the both managers and had some chats before Matthew Keane's goal kick. But yeah, really good, strong campaign by Durham District. To be that far ahead at this point in the season, goal difference of 87. To put that in perspective, the next best in the top 6 is Wakefield with 63 goal difference. So has definitely been a standout. That's for sure. For a club that prides itself in community engagement and development and local talent, it's been amazing to see so many of the Ilkley Town supporters come down. I think there was about 18 of the under-8s team come down to be mascots, a few of the under-7s. And they've got a whole host of community fundraising and sort of initiatives, I should say, to engage the local community. There's a litter picking campaign that I can see a few of the young supporters in front of me going around getting a few of the coffee mugs, or coffee cups, I should say, to put them in the bin. There's also a big fundraising campaign to try and redo, I was going to say redesign, but I'll get back to that in a second because Worsbrough are in the Ilkley Town box. It's been cleared out by Mendes this time. And not the best hook back in by Williams. But Worsbrough seemed to have a bit of initiative, and off the back, Janino Blake tries to find Grist. Almost plays it into Lasalier. But Nkem can break up the other end of the pitch now. There's no one supporting him on the right-hand side. Nice little bit of footwork. Finds Carvajal this time. And Nkem still tries to find the run, but it's actually back into Owen Evans' hand. So as I was mentioning, they're redoing the car park here at Ilkley Town, and they're attempting to get rid of the numerous, and when I say numerous, thousands of potholes that riddle the Ben Ridding Sports Club here. £300,000 is what they are attempting to raise, and I think they've got a good chunk of it done already, actually. Work has already started. Not the full amount, but if you're wondering if you want to contribute and you want to know a little bit more about the campaign, then I'm sure you can find it on the Ilkley Town social media channels. The Everyday putting up links to donate. They're doing a great job of doing it. The new sort of board that's come in over the past 6 months are really attempting to try and bring this club to the next level. Things like inviting us down to try and bring some audio commentary. Obviously doing the car park. Litter picking. They bought for National Non-League Day, they bought a bit of time for as I was just trying to figure out whether that player was going to be offside or onside. It is offside for Worsbrough. They actually hired a van or a minibus, I should say, to go around and pick people up to bring them down to attend today. I think the weather has helped slightly. A bit windy, a bit cold, but still people here in force. With any luck, next season, there'll be more and more stories like that to tell. They have hundreds of kids who are in the Ilkley sort of academy. I was actually chatting to one of the parents earlier on, and they were saying, Nick, they were saying that the under-7s started playing matches as well, which is quite nice. Those apparently going from 5-a-side down to 3-a-side. Now, Hendrickson has just given away a free kick on the edge of the area. Back to goal, did Grist, but he was giving a little bit of a body fake left and right, and ended up leaving Hendrickson with no choice but to foul him. So another free kick, a little bit further away, a little bit further to the left from Worsbrough's perspective than the previous one that Lewis O'Connor took. Lewis O'Connor has been stripped of the honour of this free kick, and I think it's Connor Glavin, which would slightly surprise me given the fact he's a centre back, but he is one of the highest scorers. He gets it over the ball, it hits the crossbar. Wow, close. That's as close as they've come. And I think it was Connor Glavin. He managed to curl it over the bar. Matthew Keane was scrambling, hits the crossbar. Keane was close, but I don't think he would have got there. Launches up to Mendes. The left back managed to head it down. Prata tried to find some options now as he finds Baldwin on the left-hand side. And Kem offering to feet and tries to link up with Mendes. And a foul given to Ilkley after Lewis O'Connor takes him down. And there's going to be a substitution here for Glassborough. This one I might be able to actually track. Harley Holt comes on, and it's going to be Akram Lasserlier, who I apologise if I've said that name wrong throughout this entire broadcast. No one's commented on the YouTube chat to correct me. Lasalirie. Anyway, he's come off, and substitution Harley Holt has come on for the last couple of minutes, to be honest. We must be getting very close. We've had a couple of injury stoppages, but this is crawling to a 0-0. I'm wondering whether that crossbar will spark some kind of enthusiasm from either team. Parker Wells has the ball on the edge of the area. He tries to unleash a shot, and Kem almost brings it down. He does bring it down. It's deflected wide. Oh, I thought right at the end we were going to have some excitement here for Ilkley Town. But it's not to be this time. And Owen Evans, that's the first shot I think we've had from Ilkley for a while. I think Nkem was actually the last person we had the shot from Ilkley on the edge of the area. And it almost dropped kindly for him, but he did have two players in front of him. Deflected off the two defenders and ends up, I think, coming off him and going wide maybe. It's the opposite end of the pitch. I couldn't quite see. It wasn't a corner, so not really sure. Anyway, Prata picks the ball up, almost goes out of play, doesn't quite, but Williams does manage to get the beating of him and then win the free kick. And I started the time and pretty much bang on when we started the match, so realistically, we are coming right to the end here. Launches up to O'Connor, but Parker Wells wins the header. Williams tries to offer it back. Parker Wells wins it again and has brought it down. Now Carvajal sprinting through the middle. Parker Wells tries to drive the ball on very close to the edge of the area now as he offloads it to Carvajal inside the area on the right-hand side. Tries to squirrel it onto his left foot to find Nkem, but it's only out for a throw-in as it's cleared by Worsbrough. The mascots are looking at me asking for 1-0. I wish I could give it to you, sir. I'd love a goal. There'd be nothing more that I'd like as a goal in this game as well. It's been a long 90 minutes of me talking. Long throw from the right-hand side then. I imagine there's going to be about 3 or 4 minutes of added time onto this as well, as we've had a few injuries go down. Nothing came of it. It was cleared by Worsbrough. Atakora offloads it to Staunton, who puts it into the box low. Wasn't good enough to beat any of the defenders this time, as Mendes has a bit of a tangle with the newly substituted Harley Holt. Nothing given. Carvajal from the edge of the area. It's a deflection, and it goes nicely into Owen Evans' hand. A shame, because from this angle, it looked like it was actually struck very true, maybe towards the centre of goal. The wind holds up the ball from Evans' clearance, and Hendrickson puts it out for a throw-in. Janino Blake from the right-hand side leaves it. In fact, no, he's signalling Williams to take the ball himself, cross it in. O'Connor out to the left-back position. There was actually no left-back there, but somebody has taken the ball up now. Glavin into the centre, and Brown has to push it all the way back to the defence. Tries to find space on the left-hand side. Prince Atakora chests it down for Lewis Staunton, who clears it up. Well, it's a bit of a miscontrol there by Owen Evans. I'll be honest, I haven't been completely convinced by the Worsbrough goalkeeper in terms of some of his collections. He had a couple of flaps at in the first half, and his control there with his feet wasn't really on point. He's taken it all the way to the left-back position just to kick it straight to Ilkley. Lovely turn by Hoban, and Nkem on his bike ahead of him. Hoban driving into the centre. There's no midfield. He gives it to Baldwin. He drives it into the left-hand side. Tries to cross it. It's straight into Evans' hands. Ilkley, who committed 4 or 5 players forward now, are left a little bit weak in the middle, as they ping it over Worsbrough to the right wing. And it's a decent-ish control, but it's gone out. And a big kick by Lewis O'Connor. May have heard a swear word there as well. Lewis O'Connor with a bit of a miscontrol towards the byline, ends up kicking out for a goal kick and gives the fence a boot for a good measure as well. Letting out expletives no matter what age of the fan that was around him. So we are over 90 minutes now. This is the 92nd minute we've just ticked into. Keane puts it up to Nkem, who has put himself around quite nicely in this second half, but Parker Wells cannot find Prata. Mystery gives one last bit of encouragement to his team. There's a throw-in for Worsbrough in deep into their own half. One last throw of the dice potentially from both of these sides. Is there going to be one last bit of goalmouth action for us to get excited about? Out for a throw-in by Worsbrough. Questions from the bench. Why are we rushing? I imagine the 92nd minute and the fact that we're well over time is probably part of it. 93rd minute now. Mendes' target was Parker Wells up the line. He wasn't anywhere near it in the end. Overthrown. Maybe got caught by the wind. As Hoban tries to offer it up in the centre of the park. Carvajal brings it down, tries to nudge it over, far too far away from Nkem to have anywhere close to a foot towards it. Owen Evans brings it out well into his own half, almost at the halfway line, the goalkeeper, as he launches it up towards Grist, who's in central position now. Hendrickson looking for the ball as he went up for it. Scrappy in the middle of the park, and there's going to be a free kick about 25 yards out for Worsbrough. Very central indeed, and it is going to be Conor Glavin, standing over it. He's hit the crossbar already for one of these free kicks, and he's quite a lot further out, and he's very central. In fact, Matthew Keane hasn't even instructed anybody in the wall, and Kem is sort of half-heartedly in front of him. Glavin nudges it over to the water back post, and a very tame header down ends up in Matthew Keane's hands. He's launched the ball over, and Kem, there's not anybody there. Just ends up straight back to Owen Evans. No Ilkley Town player attempting to go for that. I think they're trying to go for the draw, which at the beginning of the game they may well have taken here, Ilkley Town. I mentioned Ilkley Town. Well, if they draw, keeps them on 40. A draw keeps them on 41 points. Appleby, Frodingham win their game in hand. They would leapfrog Ilkley. That would push the Bat Hatters down into 18th, the liable relegation zone. As is offside has been given for Ilkley as they were running, not really through on goal, but sort of semi-near on goal. Owen Evans puts it up. I'm amazed at how many minutes we've got here left. 5 minutes in after the 90th. Can't be long to go as Prata has it on the halfway line. Tries to find Hoban. Lots of space here for Carvajal, but Parker well turns. Gives it out to Prince Atakora instead. It wasn't Carvajal, it's Baldwin. I've been getting those two mixed up this entire second half. Apologies. They do look very similar. Only difference is one of them's got a bit of bleach in his hair as he launches it to the back post. It is Carvajal on the edge of the area now. Tries to leave it for Hoban. Nice little turn there from Hoban. No one on the right wing for him to give it to. Now it is Baldwin. As the final whistle blows. 0-0 the final score. Probably will please Ilkley more than it will please Worsbrough. Bit of a goal-mouth action from both ends in the second half. Crossbars hit for Matthew Keane's goal and Owen Evans' goal. But in the end, 0-0. Not really suiting either of them. Worsbrough will be disappointed not to come away with 3 points against a team that is far down in the league table. However, they will know that realistically they are still in promotional matches. They still will be in a playoff area. Ilkley Town, on the other hand, will be pleased to pick up points against a team so high up. In fact, I think whoever won the wine in the raffle ended up leaving it here, but luckily I know them, so I'll see them tomorrow. I'll take the wine with them. That's interrupted my sum up of the game. My apologies. So Ilkley Town, as I mentioned, will be pleased to take a point away from a team that is so high up the table. However, it doesn't really help them if results don't go their way at the bottom. It could lead them still liable for a relegation zone. Couple of games left to play for both of these guys. Good luck for them for the rest of the season. Thank you very much for watching or listening in, I should say, on this audio-only commentary supplied by Live Sport. Now, my name has been Jack Oliphant. 0-0 between Ilkley and Worsbrough. We'll see you on the next one.